You know, I saw this as a kid, like on VHS at my cousin's house, and nobody was paying attention. So somebody put on the movie Dracula 1992.
Real video nasty.
Happy 30th anniversary, because of course it is the spookiest time of year, and I wish I was just referring to Tax Time Mason. But it's
What are you referring to?
It's Halloween time.
It is Halloween time, and you know, there's plenty of spooky monsters. There's Frankensteins and goblins and different types of goblins, like a different coloured goblin. But I mean, one of the most fearsome monsters in all of supernatural lore is, of course, the Dracula.
Yeah.
And you know, they're all over pop culture. Blade's hunting Draculas. Sometimes Dracula's are hunting him.
Yep.
We're getting modern ones where Draculas are getting iPads and so forth. We're getting historical Draculas, but we thought we would go to maybe the most fearsome and famous Dracula of all time. What's his name again?
Gary Oldman?
Yes! Just kidding, it's Dracula.
I saw it as a kid, and there's so much imagery in this which is just like terrifying and frightening and very horny, which I will get to.
Oh, extremely horny. First of all...
Also, somebody should have been in the room when I saw this and be like, hey...
Too horny for you, young man.
Don't watch this.
No, this movie also, I feel, is... Even though this was a very popular movie, as I understand it...
And isn't this a very popular series, Caravan of Garbage, and the way it retains its popularity as people leave
give
a like?
it a like. But I feel we are straying into some dangerous territory here, because this is an auteur flick.
Boy, is it, Mason.
And that's way out of our wheelhouse, you know?
Yeah.
We have to know things about symbolism and lighting and effects.
Oh, I looked into all of that, Mason. I did a deep dive, because the
goodness.
making on this is just fascinating. And one of the things that I think really drives this movie forward is just...
The plot.
The plot, of course.
Based on a book.
Based on a book.
A thing that I know.
That's right. Is that Gary Oldman is fucking flying in this. And sometimes literally. And it's not just him. They're all doing it. And aside from that, as mentioned, it's so horny. It's like, it's just so many horny dudes. Like, it's made by horny dudes.
In a way that movies...
Dracula, he's too horny. Someone needs to get on top of this.
Stop it. Stop being so horny, young man. But it's horny in a way that movies aren't really anymore.
No, not at all.
Like, or they're being made by other auteur directors and they're being shown in, you know, limited runs, and people are like, this director's gone too far. These people had a big kiss or whatever. And it's like, nah, just everybody's gone insane in this.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, what a cast.
Oh my goodness.
Obviously, Keanu Reeves is in this as Jonathan Harker, and people, you know, in the lead up to this, and people, you know, the Keanu Reeves has been in the discourse for a long time because he's the best, and he's in this, a young Keanu Reeves, and people are like, Californian surfer dude trying an English accent. Not very good, is it?
We can be married when I return.
I think it's fun.
Yes, of course, sir.
It's this whole thing is...
But also, everybody's doing an insane
Everybody's
accent.
doing an insane thing,
At one point, I'm sure Gary Oldman said to Francis Ford Coppola, hey, Francis, should I do a crazy European accent in this? And Francis Ford Coppola's like, yeah, absolutely. And then Gary Oldman's like, should I do a different crazy European accent in literally every scene? Just a different one? Just tweak it a little bit every time?
Fine.
It's cool, man. Yeah.
Well, the thing about the Keanu Reeves thing, like it was said at the time, and it's still said now, though, that he was miscast. And Francis Ford Coppola has even said that, like, he was cast because he was young and hot.
Sure.
But also that he put his all into it.
And horny?
And horny, probably.
But he's the least horny guy
I
in this.
think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's having some horny moments, though.
I think this guy, it works because he is, you see the very prim and proper voice coming out of his face and you go, oh, maybe it doesn't work for Keanu Reeves. But I think it does because the character he is the most prim and proper guy and he's so uncomfortable around all of this.
Yeah.
You know, that's the voice of that man.
Well, it's funny you should say that because Francis Ford Coppola said that he, more than anybody, worked the hardest on his accent, but he went in too stiff, and that's why it came out this way. And Keanu Reeves has even said since that he was doing back-to-back movies at the time, and by the time he got to this, he was just fried, and he was like, I couldn't really give it my all like I wanted to because, you know, he was doing a million movies a year.
Yeah, but like I said, it does work for the character, and I think there is a moment in this. There are, you know, when he is captured by Dracula or falls, you know, into his thrall. He does loosen up. The character's accent kind of loosens up a bit, and he, you know, it's good.
He loosens up as his hair gets grayer.
That's true, yes.
That can be said for all of us, I feel, though, Mason. I like this version of Dracula. Like, it's mostly classic. There's some other things that have been pulled from other stories over the decades, Mason.
Yeah.
But, you know, he takes on many forms. You know, he can't be seen in mirrors. He's adverse to crosses. He loves blood. He's a big fan. Hates garlic. He's weakened by sunlight, though it doesn't kill him. He doesn't have an iPad. These are all classic Dracula things that they work in. All of that lore is terrific. There's even a moment where he's just a big stack of rats.
Right?
Like, I love this.
He's a big bat and then he's a big stack of rats.
Thank you, yeah. But I bet you love this, Mason.
Because of the costumes. I absolutely do.
there we go.
Hang on, I'm gonna.
I've got the name of the person here.
The production designer, if you could, yes.
So it's Aiko Ishioka was the costume designer. She normally does sets, but what's happened here is she's just gone in and instead of going with the classic stiff like Dracula collars and the whatnot and the black and white tuxedo, it's just everything. It's all over the place, and like the armors and the lapels and the funny little glasses.
Oh my god, the funny little glasses! No better combination than some funny little glasses and a big top hat. TikTok, take note.
Yeah, please. Just terrific.
Yeah, just incredible costumes. Very, very nice.
Well, it's funny though because the idea was initially the budget was going to go entirely into the costuming, and there would be very minimal sets, and it would just be kind of like shadows and like voids that they'd stand in front of.
Just set in like the Warner Brothers office building.
Pretty much, yeah.
Just around the water cooler.
Yeah, but the studio was like, we'll build you some sets. Don't do that. Don't do that.
That is our job, and we have been paid, so we will.
So, yeah, and I do want to talk about the special effects in this. That whole other aspect of this movie is just fascinating. But first of all, I want to get into Anthony Hopkins.
Oh, he's having a ball.
He's having the best time of his life.
Well, see, the thing about this is, and this is the magic of movie making, James, it's difficult for me to tell, was everybody on this having a hellish time or the best time of their lives? Or did it depend on the actor?
Yeah, it absolutely depended on the actor. I want to talk about Winona Ryder specifically a bit later.
But Anthony Hopkins is having a ball. To me, it was very reminiscent of his small role in that Transformers movie that he's in. He's just mucking about on set.
Name the Transformers movie.
Last Night.
Very good.
Okay. I nearly said Rise of the Dinosaurs, but that's not correct. Big time dinosaur time. He's an expert in his field, but he's doing.
Is he though?
No, I don't know.
Because there's a moment
he's
where
the only one in his field.
That's true. He lets a bat bite him, and then he just licks his thumb.
Yeah.
There's a moment where he's like, "This woman needs blood," and he's just pumping anybody's blood into her.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't even worry about it.
Nobody knew then.
No, that's
true. But there's a moment in there where I believe the great Richard E. Grant is like, "Are you going to perform an autopsy on this woman?" And he's like, "No, I'm just going to cut her head off and pull her heart out, whatever."
That's what's hilarious about this dude as well. He's so nonchalant about literally everything.
Yeah. You want to know more about his life. What else has he been doing? What other monsters has he been hunting down?
I don't think any. I think this is his first rodeo. And then, he's just like, whatever, I'll stake this, I'll do that. Remember there's a moment where he does the magic trick where he's explaining and then he's like, now I'm behind this thing over here.
That's right, I'm behind this gravestone. You thought I was, the prestige. And
what?
they're like, well, we should trust you then, I guess. Yeah. You are the right man for this job because you distracted us briefly and then you ran to another gravestone.
The only moment where...
There should have been a frame of him just...
booking it.
Just absolutely booking it around the corner.
The only moment, though, where he's really bothered is when his horse gets murdered. And he flips out.
Yeah. Just a wonderful cast.
Yep.
Winona Ryder as Mina Harker I thought was great. Probably, again, got derided in the press at the time for a bad accent or whatever.
She bought the script to Francis Ford Coppola. She was supposed to be in
Godfather 3, yeah.
Pulled out.
Yeah.
This was going to be a TV series, and she was like, do this. I'll do it too.
Oh.
Yeah, so there you go.
Shades of Millie Bobby Brown in Enola Holmes. That's interesting.
Okay,
and I wonder if she, because they're both in Stranger Things, I wonder if she, or it's a coincidence, or it's just a generic British accent.
Just British
It's
stuff
just a
going
British
on,
accent. Richard E. Grant, love seeing him. Carrie Elwes, love seeing him in anything. What a delight.
Cliff Secorda's in this, Mason.
Yes.
The Rocketeer himself.
That's right.
My goodness.
And Monica Bellucci is one of Dracula's brides, but also...
she's also a Dracula.
Yeah. Love to see him. Tom Waits as Renfield. Just getting in there eating bugs and...
Mate, just...
Little glasses, funny haircuts.
Yeah.
Probably didn't even have to take him to hair and makeup. Costuming. Just brought him in off the streets. Can you eat some bugs, Tom? Yes.
Yeah.
Of course I can.
Excuse me, what? Put down the plate of bugs, Tom.
We've got to give you these prop bugs to eat.
The special effects in this, though, and this is just fascinating to me. There's one optical effect in this, which was the blue circular flames.
Okay.
Which you probably remember. Literally everything else is done in camera. Now, this is done through model work, rear projection, forced perspective. They'll get like doubles of a person so that the shadows can be different. There's
putting some bunch of rats on a frame probably, and
exactly. Pulling a string and all the
pulling a
rats
string
fall
and all the
out,
rats
yeah.
fall over. Yeah.
Like double exposure for a film where there's a moment where the rats are running upside down. I love how the laws of physics don't really apply to Dracula and Dracula's castle. There might even be a smoke machine or two going on in here.
My goodness.
Just fascinating stuff. There's a moment where, and this is just one minor example, there's a million shots like this, where the train is going across in the distance and you see the sun is setting and there's a book in front of it. That's all done in camera with a miniature train. But that book...
Oh, it was a giant book.
Yeah, it's like 20 feet wide.
Yes.
It's amazing, Mason.
That's incredible. Where's that book now? That's a prop that deserves to be in like Gotham City. Now, Gotham City's filled with weird props. It should be in the Batcave.
Dracula's book, they could call it.
Like the case of Dracula's big book, and then there was a crime or whatever.
And that's how you trap Dracula.
There's a moment where
you slam him in the big book.
There's a moment where some puncture wounds on somebody's neck transition into some glowing wolf eyes in the forest. Incredible.
So many glowing wolf eyes in this. Also, so he went to like a traditional special effects house, and they were like, "Look, if we're going to do this, we're going to do a lot of it digitally, and we're going to use modern 1992 filmmaking techniques." And he was like, "No." So he fired everybody, and he got his son Roman to basically orchestrate all of this, which I think is just
nepotism.
Nepotism,
That's what you think
nepotism and fascinating. It's two things, Mason.
Is he in the special effects world to this day?
He does a bit of everything. He's an auteur himself, Mason.
Ooh.
Yeah. This is the sexiest Dracula, I feel, right?
He's sexy.
Depending on his form.
Well, that's the thing, and I think he's sexy in deeds.
Yeah.
But not necessarily like, I'm not like, ooh.
When he's a weird bat wolf.
Yeah, but even like Gary Oldman, I'm like, oh, I'm sure some people will be like, that guy's a sexy older man or whatever. But but it's.
I mean, he was like 32 when he made this or whatever.
Well, yeah, that's true. Older than me. Did I get away with that?
Yeah, basically.
Okay, great. It's a combination of the charisma and the weird horny scenarios he puts people in.
And the kissing, he's always doing some big kissing.
Doing kissing on a hand or a neck,
Yeah. Let's get into the love story because a part of this and the narrative. And it is very, a lot of this, it's probably... At the time, it was the most direct adaptation that we'd seen, I'd say. A lot of the stuff that was in movies and such were just like, they were adaptations and interpretations.
And maybe even to this day.
They did Dracula with an iPad, and it was mostly...
It was
close until he got the iPad. It was pretty close
until he got the iPad and Black Ops collected him or whatever. Yeah. But otherwise, it was pretty accurate. There was the scene on the boat.
Yeah.
There was the scene in the castle.
Absolutely, yeah. They did all of that. But, this idea that, this... I can't remember the specific line, but it's a love that transcends time between, these two people.
The exact line was, it's a love that transcends time between these two people. And then he pointed to himself and whoever you're talking about.
What's got two thumbs in? It's pointed two people who are in love, but the thumbs are one's pointing to me and one's pointing to you.
That's right. It's you and Dracula, baby.
And look, I get the point that like he's also painted as a sympathetic kind of villain in this, but he's just a fucking psycho.
Oh yeah,
and I don't think he deserves any of the nice things that have ever happened to him.
You're saying that Dracula, one of the most famously evil characters in all of fiction, doesn't deserve good things?
But at the end, right? He gets his redemption from God, which, by the way, fuck you. That's terrible.
Yeah.
He shouldn't get to go to heaven.
He killed that horse.
He killed that horse. He gets the Darth Vader ending. Like, that's bullshit, right? And she decapitates him and he flies off into heaven or whatever. And
he says, I'm going to heaven.
But where he's like, oh, why is God...
I'm going to be a big pile of rats in heaven. But they're going to be beautiful white rats.
Where he's like, oh, why is my God, why has he forsaken me? You're feeding babies to other Draculas. You're a crazy person. At the moment at the end where they're chasing him towards his castle and it's all coming to a head, I'm loving that. I'm like, are they going to be getting this Dracula before he gets into his castle? And he bursts out of the box and they just fuck him up. And I love it, Mason. Just an absolute trouncing.
Just a massive chop to the neck. Just really get in there. Absolutely.
But I also think if he had have lived and if he had have got back together with his love, how long before he turns into a big wolf and cheats on her or whatever?
That's very
I don't think he can help himself. He's too horny, Mason.
He's too horny.
He needed to be stopped.
They survived to the modern day. He's on Grindr or
God.
Bumble or whatever.
Can you imagine if this Dracula got an iPad, this version?
Yeah.
What would have happened?
The world would end, I think.
It's too much. It's too much, Mason. I don't like him. He's too horny. I don't like him. Should we do some green trivia?
Let's do green trivia.
Yeah, great. This was, so the moment of the wedding between Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder, that was shot in a LA Greek Orthodox church with an actual Romanian Orthodox minister.
And technically they're married now.
They are in the eyes of God, not by law, but yes, they are.
Right.
That is true.
Well, Hollywood does not recognize the eyes of God, quite frankly.
It's true. So Gary Oldman and Winona Ryder did not at all get along during the filming of this.
Wow.
The direct quote from the director was, they got along and then one day they didn't. Absolutely didn't get along. None of us were privy to what happened. And Winona Ryder has talked about that since, that she said, like, he felt very dangerous. Like, Gary Oldman wasn't breaking character too much. He was always saying sinister and creepy things and to everybody all the time. You know what I mean? He went full method for a lot of this.
Just leaving in somebody's ear bugs and rats and stuff.
Pretty much, yeah. But
what do you think about that?
You watch, it's funny, you watch the behind the scenes stuff and he's just in full, white face paint with a big bum hairdo. And, and he's just like, yeah, and anyway, what for this scene? And, it's incredible. Though recently told Vanity Fair that she had these journals, and I pulled one out, and it was around the time from Dracula, and the text was angst, 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 angst. Thank God for Keanu Reeves. Thank God I'm going to see Keanu. So he was the saving grace, apparently, for her on this movie. So this is an example of some Gary Oldman hijinks, if you don't mind, Mason. An extra on the movie said that the scene where Dracula first arrives in London and he meets Mina on the street, there was difficulty getting Winona Ryder to have the appropriate response when she sees him for the first time. So Gary Oldman grabbed a zucchini off a vegetable cart and then flashed it in front of his groin when she turned around.
That is classic boys behavior.
Isn't it just? So yeah, I think we've seen a lot of this over the years, and I hope it happens less now, and I don't know whether that's entirely true, but it's just torturing a woman in a movie, just upsetting a woman. There were moments where the director would just yell really cruel things at her to elicit responses and things like that, but just do some acting, I reckon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just stand on the X and say some lines.
That's right. But Winona Ryder has also said since then that they're friends now, and it was some teen drama going on there. So, there you go. Now, this actually, which doesn't surprise me at all, it struggled to get an appropriate rating for a cinematic release. 20 minutes plus of gore had to be removed.
That's just in the last action sequence. It's just them beating up Dracula for 20 more minutes.
I would love that. But that actually didn't help due to the sexual nature of the film. One producer actually chastised Coppola for it being too rude or blue, which led to the working title of this film being Blue Harvest.
He's done it again, folks.
Funnily enough, was the working title for the original Star Wars from
Is
1977.
If I may, James, is writing that the hardest work you do all week? It might be.
Some of that is true, though. Which parts? It's up to you.
Rodney! 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 Rodney!
Speaking of George Lucas, it was actually George Lucas who suggested, in adherence with Dracula mythology, Mina should decapitate Dracula as the ultimate release for him to reach heaven. This is also the first major US motion picture to be edited entirely on a non-linear editing system. So that's fun.
What does that mean?
Non-linear.
Huh.
So you don't have to do it there's no linearity to it, Mason. You can do it in a different order. Does that make sense?
Sure, yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
There's also, he uses an old school camera for some of that London stuff. I don't know if you noticed. Often
because it looked like an old timey,
Often you'll
film.
Yeah, you'll fake
look like a film.
Look like a film. You'll fake that normally, but he's rich, so he's like, I have one of these. So
I got winery money, so
that's right. Now, in terms of box office, Mason,
yes.
Hollywood insiders who saw the movie before it came out felt Coppola's film was too odd, violent, and strange. So
and guess what it is, and we love it.
That's true. Too much so, though, to succeed at the box office, and dubbed it Bonfire of the Vampires. I think they mean Draculas.
They mean Bonfire of the Draculas.
Yeah. So this had a $40 million budget. They would never, comparatively, you'd never make something this big now, because it wouldn't make its return. But it made nearly $216 million. So it was a hit. This feels like, though, I'm surprised it was a hit, honestly. It's so fucking weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's also what I love about this horrible, horny movie, Mason.
But I mean, weird stuff can surprisingly hit big, like something like Everything Everywhere All at Once.
That's true, yeah.
That hit big,
Yeah, but that also didn't cost $40 million.
True.
But this also, it feels, kicked off a bunch of stuff in the 90s, more attempts to make these kind of old school monster movies. Patrick Williams has a great video about this. There was Jack Nicholson's Wolf. Kenneth Branagh did a Frankenstein movie.
That's right.
With Robert De Niro. It's just bizarre stuff going on, But I think this is easily the best of all of those.
Scorsese's Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Absolutely.
Played by Who's a funny guy from that era?
A funny guy from that era.
Pesci.
Carrot Top.
Carrot Top.
Carrot-
Two heads.
No,
Pesci and Carrot Top.
Carrot Top, human form. Joe Pesci, monster form.
Okay, great.
Perfect. Wow. What an incredible movie, all in all, don't you think?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think people should check it out. Interestingly, if you're watching this at time of release of this video, I imagine there are a lot of local cinemas maybe in your area that are doing a little showing of this. So maybe check it out,
Absolutely.
or just watch it on the internet,
Sounds
watch it
good.
on your phone. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
watch on your phone. It's fine.
Yeah.
Watch on your phone before you go to bed, and then forget to turn it off, and then it plays during the night, and then you wake up and there's like you're looking at a big pile of rats, and you're like,
Yeah.
ah.
And then you turn the other way and you're looking at the movie Dracula.
Very good. Now, Mason, do you think everybody would like a clue for what we're doing here next week at Caravan of Garbage?
I certainly would.
Here it is.
Jack the Ripper's not finished. Where is he? I want him.
But do you think everybody maybe would like to know if they could see that video early, and if they could see it early, where they could go?
I certainly would.
Cool.
Because then I wouldn't have to think of anything to say if it had already been done.
Yeah, okay.
And I could see it in advance.
Yeah.
I would just maybe copy all that stuff down.
And then like say it again or whatever.
Yeah, but would that create like a time loop, do you think? A paradox?
Yeah, I mean, maybe. We don't know until we try.
But I wouldn't have to do any work.
No, you wouldn't have to do any work.
Wouldn't have to
so-
do any work. It might destroy the universe.
But you wouldn't have
Wouldn't
to
have
do
to
any
do
work.
any work. So yeah.
So if you want to head over to bigsandwich.co, you can check that out. There's also movie commentaries. There's bonus podcasts. Our podcast, The Weekly Planet, where we talk movies and comics and TV shows, that comes out there every Sunday as opposed to Monday, where it's also you can find on regular channels if you don't want to pay for nothing, not a goddamn thing.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I'm at Mr. Sunday Movies on Twitter.
I'm at Wikipedia Brown on Twitter.
Halloween time, everybody. You
That's
know?
right.
Watch out for spooks and ghouls.
That's right.
And goblins, and then slightly different coloured goblins.
That's right. And horny Draculas.
And horny, they're rife. Just watch out, all right? And they're on the apps now, so
Yeah, gee whiz,
social media.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I've just got a lot to say
Yeah,
about it. You
that's
know?
right.
Yeah.
Love to go for long hikes as a big pile of rats. Don't answer that one. Swipe whichever way is the bad one.
Yeah.
Yeah. don't.
Away from the rats.
Away from the rats. Yeah. All right, grab that jam, you guys. We'll see you next week.
Goodbye. Remember, it was a big wolf. He's
Yeah.
having sex with that woman.
Yeah, in the grave.
I saw that as a child, Mason.
Oh, you did, yeah.
Fuck me up.
I know.